Are we there yet? Yes, apparently we're live. Hey everyone, welcome back to First Play, the show where we get to play a game for the first time. You guys get to see us struggle with the rules from home, and sometimes we have fun, and I win, maybe. Depending on how lucky I get. Alright, anyway, Mike, Shelby, and me, John, today playing Living Planet, which is a game that was released at, you said SN?
Oh, I don't know that was released at SN.
It was Kickstarted, right? We know it was Kickstarted. It's been imported here in the US, just released by Asmodee, Global, North America, etc., etc. I think it's under the Asmodee imprint, and Ludically is the original publisher. So it's a game about exploring a planet, colonizing a planet, doing stuff on a planet.
Yeah, something like that. There's a rather large amount of fluff here that I'm not gonna take the time to read.
Sure. So you can read the fluff if you're interested in fluff.
I will read the last paragraph of the fluff. This brings us to you and your story's beginning as a renowned program director for one of the big four corporations. You've been assigned to organize its settlement and protect its interests in this new era gold rush, and to ensure your employer comes out on top.
All right.
There we go. That's the fluff objective. Then I'm going to flip to the back page real quick, and I'm going to discuss the game term sequence. Overall picture. Planet card selection. All players play simultaneously.
Okay.
Leader's action, leader only. The leader is the player that has that card and the 4 dice, which will move every turn, by the way.
I don't even know if you can see it on camera, so let me check.
So yeah, you might.
This one over here. I have to put it somewhere where everybody can see.
Okay, so yeah, leaderboard sequence from left to right. Leader calls for play. Within the third section, there is production all players, actions active player only, perform up to 2 actions amongst explore, move, construct, trade, grants, fate control. Then there's cataclysms of all affected players. Step 4 is planet exhaustion, leader only. And then step 5 is pass the leaderboard and the 4 dice to the next player in clockwise order. So there's a leader each turn. So at the end of the game, each player will earn victory points based on how many mega credits they possess and how many buildings and vehicles they control. See the scoring chapter for further details. Okay, so what we have out here, real quick, is we have a player area with this screen.
Yep.
It has a lot of iconography on it, which I suppose after you learn the game will be useful, but for us we're going to be doing probably a lot of rulebook flipping.
Yep.
Because I will tell you that right off the bat, we each got 6 cards, and I think they're exactly identical.
Yep. Looks like.
But to give you an idea, there is a very large paragraph for every card on what it does.
I see a big
it has
die
iconography.
on it.
It has
like a 1,
iconography
a 6,
at the bottom of the card.
All right.
A lot of icons across the
bottom. Yeah, I see that.
And a lot of explanation on what they do, which I won't go into right now, but just be aware. So I'm discussing pieces at this point. We have a stock market board.
Yep.
We have planet tiles that we'll be drawing from a stack of planet tiles. We have 4 different resources out there, and a 5th one that's mycelium, which is apparently something that can heal your explorers. There's 11 different building tiles, 6 of some basics, and then 4 of each of the others here. We all start with a spaceport on the board with 1 scientist and a marker that says
that's ours.
That's ours, yeah.
I think that's what that blue marker.
Yeah, since
marker.
that. So that's the basics at this point. Now, the leader role. In clockwise order, players will alternate taking the leader role each turn. The leader will have important choices to make at the beginning of the turn, but most of all, their task will be to clearly announce a sequence of play, so as to ensure the turn is played in the proper order. The leader takes the leaderboard with the 4 colored dice and places it in front of themselves at the beginning of the turn. How to use it will be explained later. The game is played in 12 turns. At the end of the 12th turn, the planet explodes.
Wow.
Well,
but Okay.
However, for your
Seems like a lot of work for
first
nothing.
first few games, we strongly suggest you play only 8 turns when playing with 2 or 4 players, and 9 turns when playing with 3 players. So
Okay.
shall we go to 9 turns?
We can do
because this is
9
going to
turns.
take long enough as it is,
Yeah,
I think.
okay. 9 turns.
Each turn follows a preset sequence and must be followed step by step. When you are done with step 5, the turn is over and a new turn begins starting with step 1. Repeat this process 9 times for a complete game. And I read those off already. So, step 1 is planet card selection. The step is played simultaneously with all players acting at the same time. All players take in hand all the planet cards that they have available behind their screen. If you have no cards behind your screen at that moment, they take the planet cards in their discard pile back into their hand. From those cards in hand, each player chooses 1 card to play face down in front of them. When every player has done so, proceed to step 2. Okay, modifications for step 2 for a 3-player game. When players reveal their chosen cards, reveal the first card of each deck belonging to a non-player. We need the non-player out. Lovely. Okay, so the non-player, I don't know how we're going to do that. Thing less used must still use 4 dice and 4 decks of planet cards. The 1 or 2 colors that are not chosen are now represented by a face-down deck of planet cards shuffled at the beginning of the games.
Okay, so they're gonna do something.
So you need the sequence of 4 apparently every turn. So what color is out? Yellow?
Yellow.
Okay. Okay, so there's the face down planet deck. I'll try to remember. You get to remind me in the first turn.
All right.
Okay, the leader sits when they reveal their chosen card, reveal the first card of each deck belonging to a non-player. The leader then sets the dice of each player as described in step 2, including the dice of the non-players. Then the leader selects the order of play for the 4 colored dice, including the non-player ones as described for a 4-player game. Which we haven't even described yet, but that was apparently during the leaderboard sequence. Okay, we're just going to have to take this a step at a time, I see.
I think so.
Okay, but you don't know what your cards do. So let's go for step 1, planet card selection, and see if we can work through that.
All right.
Detailed description of the special effect of each planet card. Remember that each turn, only the leader uses the special effect. Okay, so what does the number mean?
These guys
Planet card they played and announces clearly the die value and color shown on the card. Ah, okay.
Yeah, there's a 6-sided die. It looks like 1 for each face.
So then, when we reveal them, you turn the face of the colored dice up and put it at the top of the for each color.
Okay.
And then after that, you decide in which order the play will occur. So,
I see. They're coded to our colors. That's
Yes.
why we need to flip that yellow one.
Yep. If the blue die is placed in column 1, then the blue player will go first, and etc. Then the red die will. Okay. When you then place the 4 colors of dice, then you proceed to step 3, which is the leaderboard sequence, which is production actions cataclysm.
All right. So.
Okay, so all revealed planet cards remain in one face-up pile in front of each player's screen, so that all players can only see the last planet card played by each player. The remaining planet cards that have not yet been played are kept behind the player screen.
So I'm probably not going to get these back.
So if you're the only one who gets the special effects. All right. Leader special effects. The number 1 card. Once during the turn, the leader can change the value of any die just before it reaches the Cataclysm icon.
There we go. So I can take the icon shows a question mark on a die, so I can change the result
during the Cataclysm phase.
Cataclysm phase, which
right before any Cataclysm phase.
All right.
If he doesn't use this bonus effect before the end of the turn, the effect is lost. If you wish to change the die value, and the active player also wishes to do so by using a fate control token, the leader takes precedence. and the active player cannot use the fate control. Number 2, the leader must name a resource when planet cards are revealed during step 2. Until the end of the turn, any player producing the named resource will produce twice the amount of this resource.
Simple enough.
So those icons seem self-evident
Yep.
so far. Number 3, although this card is revealed during step 2, the leader applies its effect during the action phase, which is halfway through section 3, not step 2 or step 3.
Okay.
The leader can use it at any time during their action phase, like a free action. Does not use it, special effect is lost. The leader can place a new scientist on the spaceport they control without having to pay the mycelium resource. Spaceport has to be empty of all units prior to the free action.
Okay, so that's not a great.
So it's a free scientist.
But it's not a great first turn card.
Well, apparently, if we're not
potentially
moving yet.
Yeah, if we're not moving.
Okay, number 4. Although this card is revealed during step 2, the leader applies the effect during the action phase when they are the active player and only when performing a trade action, which is halfway through step 3, pretty much where the actions are. The leader that can choose any resource on the stock market and raise or lower its value by 2. Control the market. Could trigger a stock market crash. Afterwards, the leader proceeds with their trade action normally by choosing a stock market card effect to be applied, discarding all cards with the chosen one on top. Okay, we haven't got to the stock market yet, so we're not sure about that one. Number 5, the leader must remove a resource from the resource pool when planet cards are revealed. The chosen resource does not go on the planet's exhaustion track, but is removed from this game instead. That sounds kind of like
ominous.
Well, that's going to be at least once during the game. Since we're not playing 12 turns, each card won't automatically get cycled twice.
Yeah.
1.5 of the deck will. Okay, so there's going to be a missing resource. Number 6, when planet cards are revealed, the leader retrieves all their face-up planet cards from their discard pile and secretly picks one to place behind their screen.
Oh.
Then the leader places all the other cards back in a face-up discard pile with a number 6 card value on top visible to all players, so the leader cannot pick the number 6 card they just played.
Okay.
If the leader played this card and there's no other card than the number 6 in their discard pile, they lose the special effect. So you get to repeat. The leader can choose to repeat a card previous, other than number 6. Okay, so those are the 6 different cards. I'm not sure. My evaluation, I don't know about yours, is there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of being first is an advantage to playing one of those special effects.
No, not particularly. Not this first turn.
Although number 2 seems possible. Must name a resource when planet cards are revealed during step 2. Until the end of the turn, any player producing the name resource will produce twice the amount of this resource. So if you can target one of the resources you thought you were doing.
I don't know what they do, but sure.
Yeah, that seems to be a possibility for the first turn. Okay, so one after the other in any order, reveal the planet card you played. Announce clearly the die value and the color. The leader sets the same color die with the upper face showing the value. Announced play proceeds to the next player until all players have revealed their cards, including the leader. Once this is done, the value of the 4 dice are set. So you just set those 4 dice, and then you place them in the order of how you want the players to go. So everybody just picks a card. So you're saving ones that you might want to use as a leader, I guess. I don't know. We don't know what the die numbers mean in terms of resources or any of that nature, do we?
No.
Okay, so I will put that card out just to get this thing.
We need one from yellow, please.
So you got everybody else?
Yep.
Boom, 6.
The yellow is a 6. We're gonna let him go first. Why not? Because I have no idea what I'm doing.
Okay, simultaneously. Oh, take in hand, and then whenever plays done, so proceed to step one after the other and in any order. Okay. Red 5.
5 green.
Okay, so you set them and then you determine the order in which they play. Okay, you're top to bottom this way. Okay. Range of 4 dice and
1,
4.
2, 3. Yeah.
First roll of the leaderboard, desired to play. Okay. All revealed planet cards remain in one face-up pile in front of each screen, so you can see whatever was last played.
Okay.
Planet card special effect described on it. Yep, triggered only when played by the leader. So, what do you have triggered?
I triggered the double resource. Let's go with oil. I don't know what these resources do, but
Okay.
oil seems important to do stuff.
Sure.
All right. Leaderboard sequence. Starting with the first column on the left and progressing right, one column at a time, the leader moves down each die until all 4 dice are aligned on the bottom row. So that's declaring what you're doing. Okay, so the first one for yellow is
Production.
goes down one row to the multicolor. Once all players have completed their production,
We're
push
all
the
gonna
die on the
produce.
top row of the first
We're all
column.
gonna do our action and then we all add our face.
Once all players have completed their production,
Mhm.
because the icon is multicolored,
Yeah.
the leader moves down the die one row and reaches the action icon. Okay, so everybody produces. Production. Depending on the die value and the situation, each player may be able to produce resources, fix the automation of a factory building, or add a new unit to their spaceport. So the die reaches the production island, the leader announces the value of the die. So 6 yellow, I think, is just occupying a space, I'm going to bet. Color of the die is of no importance at that moment, only the value on the die. Starting from the leader player and going clockwise, each player resolves their production until it's all simultaneous because of the multicolor.
Sure, but the value was important. I just
Yes,
put whatever was
only the number, the value is the only thing that matters. Starting from the leader player, going clockwise, each player resolves their production until all players are done. To produce a resource, players need to control a factory building showing the same production die number on it. If they do, they take one resource of the type produced by this factory from the resource pool. The resource pool is ran out of this type of resource, and the player receives nothing. But the stock market value of the resource goes up 1 MC on the stock market board for each resource that couldn't be taken. If you control more than one factory building, the same production number, each one of them produces the corresponding resource. You control a building when it has an automation chip on it, which we have. Those are automation chips on our spaceport.
Right, but there's space
Or both. If there are none of these elements, the building is not controlled. It's either abandoned, empty, or simply occupied. If there's a wounded scientist. Controlled, not controlled. Yeah, fine. Example of production. Yeah, well, we don't have any of those. If a building with a corresponding production number is occupied by an active unit but has no automation chip, then the controlling player may elect to repair the automation system instead of taking the production. If they do so, place one of the automation chips on the building, and this counts as their production action of building this phase. Spaceport production. In most games, a starting building is the spaceport. It doesn't really produce resources. It's more like a spaceport attracting and receiving new scientists, workers, and their equipment. When a 6 in production is announced by the leader, and if a spaceport has no unit, the player can spend 1 mycelium resource from behind their screen to recruit a new scientist placed on their spaceport. Alternatively, they can spend 1 oil resource to get a motorized scientist instead. Players may use a resource that they have just produced at this phase to add a new unit to their empty spaceport.
So I should really set all of these to. I'm a little confused because I can set these.
No.
to whatever. No.
6 is that thing where you pick one out of your discard pile. You don't want to do that. You're going to leave the numbers.
You're gonna have
You
to
need
play
to lose.
them.
You need to leave the numbers alone. The leader announces 6 for this. Remember, the 6 is the one where you pick another one.
I'm talking about the.
So the dice should have been a 6 if we had played them. The dice are the ones that we played. The cards.
So
we
I completely played this wrong because
So
this
we
is
all
not going to
did.
produce anything.
Yeah, none of us are gonna produce anything.
Yeah, I got rid of a card I don't want a special ability
Yeah.
of.
I understand.
That's all I did because I didn't know what the.
Yeah, I get it.
Which might have been 5 resources had I enough factories. Who knows? Okay, so we have no production in the first turn, is what I'm guessing.
Looks like.
Although they don't. Okay. So we have no production apparently, because we have no factories. All right, so first to die in the top.
Do you?
Okay, so now you're going to proceed first player actions. You're going to push the dice down one for the next player that goes, since that was a simultaneous thing. So yellow is taking actions. Performs 2 actions. When done, the leader continues, moves the die 1 more row down to reach the Cataclysm icon. So I'm guessing that
I don't know what yellow does.
yeah, I'm going to go see if there's anything about there.
He doesn't even have any playing pieces on the board.
During the leaderboard sequence, when the leader starts moving down the die of a color belonging to a non-player, this die triggers production for every player, as described for a 4-player game as usual. When a non-player die reaches the action phase, nothing happens. Skip that phase and move it to Cataclysm. Okay, so you get to move. When a non-player die reaches the Cataclysm phase, all the cataclysms present on the map corresponding to both the die's color and value trigger.
There is no cataclysm. Yeah.
Because there are apparently cataclysms on the tiles that get.
Okay.
When a non-player deck becomes empty, shuffle all cards corresponding to the decks for the non-player. Okay. So that's pretty simple. We found out what the yellow dice does.
It triggers the
cataclysm. Now we're proceeding over to green. Apparently is next.
Okay.
So you push the die to the row down and tell the player that they can perform their 2 actions.
You can perform 2 actions. Green.
Okay. Line B, active player only 2 actions. So you have explore, move, construct, trade, grants, fate control. Explore. Active player draws X hexagons from the hex deck. They show them to all players and choose one that they can place on the map following the exploration rules. The hexagon must touch either the landing zone or at least 2 other hexes. The newly placed hexagon must match the landscape of all other hexagons it's adjacent to, mountain to mountain, desert to desert, so on. The active player must be able to reach the newly placed hexagon with one of their units. A scientist can only move to the new hexagon from an adjacent one. So yeah, you can't stretch way out. A motorized scientist can move up to X hexagons to reach the newly placed one.
What is X number of players? Doesn't say. Okay.
I haven't seen anything that says X, unless that means 10 in Roman numeral, which doesn't seem likely, because it doesn't have the blocks on it. Only 1 unit must be moved into a new hexagon. If no unit can reach the new hexagon legally, then the new hexagon cannot be placed. A wounded scientist cannot explore.
Okay.
If no exploration is possible with the hexagons the active player has just drawn, or if the active player does not wish to explore any of the drawn hexagons and the exploration has failed, place all discarded hexagons at the bottom of the hex deck in any order. So that's the explore action. Draws X. What the heck?
X is the number of pips.
On the dice.
On the active player's die.
Well, there's something that would
Yeah,
have been handy
I
to know.
just completely threw a card out there. So.
That I
whatever.
just said I don't want this special ability, so I put that one out.
Sure.
Active player may move is another action. May move. There might be an FAQ or answers in the back. Who knows? We'll see.
There's a really great player aid on Board Game Geek.
Of course there is.
That's what I'm reading.
Well, good.
So.
The active player may move as many of their units as they like, as long as the total number of hexagons they move on does not exceed the X value of the dice. Okay, so X is the value of your dice. Each scientist can only move 1 hexagon from the hexagon they are at the beginning of the action to any adjacent one. Wounded scientists cannot move. Each motorized may move up to X hexagon. So, Speedy Gonzalez. If it ends its move on a,
to convert
if it ends its move on a new hexagon, a unit belonging to the active player can enter a building they control or an abandoned building for free. They do not need to spend a movement point. However, if the unit is either moving on the same hexagon directly from one building to another, or entering a building from the same hexagon, it costs a movement point out of the X available. The active player may move a unit onto a building only if this building has an automation chip of the matching color, or if the building is abandoned. The building is abandoned, the active player is taking control of it. There can only be one unit per building, no matter the type, at any time. Automation chips are not considered units. The number of units allowed on a hexagon outside of any building is not limited.
None of them scan.
So the example says you can move multiple units if you have multiple movement points. That's what the example says anyway. They don't, and you do not have to use all your movement points. So since we only have one guy, the first tile you place down, and you're going to spend one to move. Okay,
well, yeah.
But when you explore, so exploring does not automatically mean moving. You just have to have somebody that can move there.
Mm-hmm.
So initially, when you explore, it's going to have to be adjacent to the starting hex,
sure.
Obviously. Okay, so the other thing you can do is construct. This is probably the meat of the thing to get buildings up. You may construct one of the available buildings from the pool of buildings as long as they can pay the cost for it and place it legally on a hexagon where one of their active units are present and can construct it. Constructing is independent of the X value of your dice. Once it's completed and paid for, the active player must move an active unit from the same hexagon onto the newly constructed building and therefore controls it. So yeah, if you're moving onto your explored tile, there's no buildings. You just move onto the tile itself, and then you move it onto a building if you build one. A unit already standing on a building may build another building in the same
So you
hex.
could do your two actions, move, and then build.
No.
So
Okay, so you
explore.
cannot explore. You cannot explore, move, and build in the same turn.
No, they're all three
You're
separate
gonna-
actions, and you can only do two.
Yeah, so you're going to explore and move the very first turn of this game. It looks like.
Yeah.
Doesn't. I mean, you could probably do some trading or something else because we haven't got there yet. But okay, a unit standing on a building may build another building in the same hex without having to spend a move action. Just move the unit out of the initial building, place on top of the new one. The other one becomes abandoned.
Yeah, okay.
Well, unless you have an automation chip. You may place an automation chip on this building unless they have no chip remaining in the reserve. The automation chip is always placed on the cost value of the building as this information is no longer needed. That's why we covered the 10 on there, because
Yeah.
you're not paying for the building. Factory buildings cost 5. Must be built on an empty square space with the required resource icon. So, buildings have two different types of shapes, I've noticed. The factory buildings are square, and then the other type of oddball buildings, there's protective buildings and stock market buildings, have the odd shapes, and they're unique. They're not the same. So obviously the square outlines are going to be different, and only those type of buildings can go on those things. Stock market buildings cost 5 plus 1 resource of the type needed to ensure the total protection of this building from one type of cataclysm. Location: the buildings can be built on any empty square space. If the square space shows a resource, the future exploration of that resource is not possible. Stock market buildings boost your trading capacity on the stock market. Protective buildings. Factories produce resources. We already. Cost is again 5 MC, can be built on any empty square space. If the square space shows a resource, the future exploration of the resource is not possible. The protective buildings are used to protect your installations from various cataclysms, explained in greater detail. Well, apparently, maybe they don't. They're all square outlines on them. Okay. Limitations on buildings. No limit the number of factory buildings a single player may build, control, and occupy. However, a player may control or occupy only one building. However, a player may control or occupy only one building of each one of the buildings available in the 4 copies from the pool of buildings. Okay, so that these are limited to the 4 players, and apparently the factories are not. So the protective and stock market buildings only have one of each of these 6 different types. Therefore, they cannot build one of these if they control or occupy another similar one. This includes the spaceport, stock market buildings, protective buildings, and all other expansion buildings. Yeah. Trade. In choosing this action, the active player must update the stock market, can buy or sell resources.
So your credits get turned into.
The active player draws X cards from the stock market deck. The deck is empty. Shuffle all market cards back into a new draw deck. Then complete your hand until you've drawn all X. Now the active player selects one card that will take effect and returns all drawn cards back to the discard pile, face up, with the selected card on top. All players only see the selected card on top of the discard face up. This last card indicates a resource and how its price value will change on the stock market. Green arrow goes up with a value of +1 to +3. Cube indicating the price value of the resource shifts up the appropriate chart, raising the value. A red arrow points down to the value of -1 or -2, thus the cube shows the price value of the stock market shifts down. Price value of a resource on the stock market can never go below 1. If the effect would have it go below 1, it stays at 1.
Alright.
Stock market crash. When the price value of a resource would exceed 10, then the price of this resource crashes and the marker continues its progression, passing from 10 to 1. When a stock market crash occurs on one resource, each player holding this kind of resource behind their screen must sell their whole stock at the new price. Oops.
For what you bank on.
Note that this type of selling does not reduce the value of the resource as a normal sale would do. Once the crash or crashes has been resolved, proceed normally to the buy and sell resources step. Yeah. Once the stock market's card effects have been applied and any potential forced selling is completed, the active player may perform one transaction on the market. The transaction is either buying or selling resources of the same type. Note it is not allowed to buy and sell, or sell and buy the same type of resource during the same trade action. To represent the rarity of resources on the intergalactic market, the active player may only buy up to 2 resources of one type as long as these are available in the resource pool and the die allows it. I.e., if the X value is 1, then they cannot buy more than 1 resource. The price must be paid in full based on the current value of the stock market. Money comes from behind the player screen, goes to the bank. Resources come from the resource pool and go behind the active player screen. If the active player controls a multi-trading outpost, see below in the chapter, you may buy up to X resources in total, but never more than 2 resources of the same type. Each time a player performs a buying transaction, no matter how many units are bought, the price of this resource goes up 1. Of course, this could trigger a stock market crash. The selling transaction may sell up to X resources of any one type at its current value. Sold come from behind the screen, go in the resource pool. Money received from the bank goes behind the screen. Each time a player performs a selling transaction, no matter how many units are sold, price goes down 1. This last effect does not apply when you're forced to sell as a result of a stock market crash. Controlling stock market buildings. Players can construct stock market buildings to help them during their trade actions. Each active stock market building controlled by an active player grants the following advantages. Okay, so this one is a multi-trading outpost.
So that means we can do.
You can
multiple
tell it by
trades.
the colors on the side of the tile. A player controlling a multi-trading outpost may trade different types of resources in the same trade action.
No more than 2 per resource.
The total number of resources bought and sold cannot exceed X. Still cannot buy and sell the same resource in the same action. So now you're not limited. So you can always buy multiple resources up to the total of your dice, but you can never buy more than 2 of any
The
one.
same resource, correct? Yeah.
In this case, may trade different types of resources in the same trade action.
So you would have to do a separate trade action if you wanted to trade coal, oil, and steel. But with this one, you can use one action. to
Yeah,
trade
otherwise you're
multiple.
limited to 2
Right.
of one type in your trade action,
You're
regardless
still
of your
limited to
dice.
2.
Well, no, but you only get one trade action. Okay.
Unless you have a multi-trade.
Active player may only buy up to 2 resources of any one type as long as they are
That's the
available and their die allows it.
That's
They then cannot buy more than 1 resource that they want. Price paid in full. Money comes from behind the resources coming. So you only get to buy 2 of one single resource if your die allows it, unless you have this, and then you can do multiple resources up to the total.
per action.
Yes,
It's telling you per action. So this, with one action, you can buy multiple resources.
correct.
The other one, you would have to spend 1 action to buy 1 resource, 1 action to buy another resource.
Correct.
That's what it does. But you're always limited to 2.
Of a single resource.
Correct.
But yeah,
Yeah.
so you can buy 2, 2, and 1 of 3 different resources on this.
Yes.
But you can't buy more than 2 if you don't have this for 1 action.
Per action. Yes.
So that gives you some flexibility there. The trading office, which is this silly thing sitting on top of a mountain. Cost to buy it, by the way, are
On the
are 5 MC plus 1 electricity to buy this one. Protected from tornadoes. So that's what that. I'm sure that little lightning bolt must be a tornado or something. Or no, that's the resource. That's the resource you need. The tornado is the
It's
upper
a
left
top-
of it.
Yeah, I see it. It's
It's
a shield
Cataclysm.
on a tornado.
Player controlling a trading office adds +2 to their die value when performing a trade action. That means they will draw 2 more cards and can do transactions with up to X plus 2 resources. Example, the yellow die value is 3. The yellow player as a trading office performs a trade action. They draw 5 stock market cards, then apply 1 card and can sell up to 5 resources of one
It
type.
sounds like these buildings are allowing you to do multiple transactions of that particular type per action.
Well, hold on a second. I haven't finished. So, talking about that one. So you get to draw the extra 3 cards, because you're X plus 2. So in your die value was 3, you get 5 cards. Then applies 1 card and can sell up to 5 resources of one type. If they choose to buy, they are still limited to 2 resources of one type.
That's a hard limit. It looks like on everything.
That's what it's looking like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was that guy. Marketing department is 5 MC plus 1 iron protected from geysers. Oh, that one's protected from earthquakes, by the way.
Yeah.
Player controlling a marketing department doubles the number of stock market cards drawn during a trade action. 2 trade cards may be applied as well, provided they address 2 different resources. Okay, so another action is receive grants. The active player takes X MC from the bank and places behind their screen. That's pretty simple. The easiest one so far. Next one is take the fate control token. The active player takes a fate control token and places it in front of their screen. Each player can only have 1 at any given time. Can neither take. A player can neither take, then use, nor use, then take fate control token during the same turn. Okay, so you can't use it to
You
turn
gotta
your credit.
bank it and use it later.
Wow.
And if you use it, you can't immediately take it.
Fate control token can be used by a player in any future turn to change the value of their colored die before it reaches any icon on the leaderboard. This means the player using it can choose a new value for the die before it reaches either production, actions, or cataclysms. The new value of the die remains until the beginning of step 1 of the next turn, unless another effect requires it to change again. So in between the steps that the leader is moving down. Free actions are extra actions performed only during a player's action phase when they are the active player. They do not count as one of the 2 actions you're allowed. They can perform as many free actions as they want. Per action phase with different units they control, or even with the same unit if needed. They can control free actions at any given time during their action phase, either before or after, anyways. So they're free. One of which is using mycelium to heal your scientist. You can heal as many wounded scientists as they wish by spending 1 mycelium per scientist. Wounded scientist is laid down on its side. Each time they spend 1, you stand it up. Each time you spend 1 to heal a scientist, you stand the scientist back up. If you don't have but 1, that's fine. But
it sounds like 1 mycelium heals multiple scientists.
No, 1 heals 1.
You can spend as many as you want as a free action.
Correct. Cannot be spent to heal other players' scientists. Motorized scientists cannot be wounded, so they cannot be healed. Once a motorized scientist suffers from a cataclysm, it's returned to its owner's reserve instead. Fixing the automation of a building. If an active unit they control stand upright in a building without an automation chip, they can pay F5 to restore and repair the automation as a free action. They place an automation chip on the color on their building. So, Cataclysm seems to be the thing. When a die reaches the Cataclysm icon, the leader announces the color of the dice and its value. Then the players locate on the hexagons the die icons of the given color and value. If there's no such die on the hexagons, then nothing happens.
We reached it with yellow, 6. There's no such.
Correct. The game proceeds to the next step. If there's 1 matching die icon, the active player must trigger a minimum of 1 cataclysm on the whole map.
So I have a stupid question.
Yeah.
When we were in production, there was a 6 on the board, the yellow player. Would he have produced?
No, it said skip it.
Skip it. Okay, that's fine.
We're skipping the yellow player altogether. He's not doing anything
other than causing cataclysms.
Yeah.
That's fine.
That's what it looks like. Okay. If there's at least 1 matching die icon, the active player must trigger a minimum of 1 cataclysm on the whole map.
Yeah.
All or some of them, with a minimum of 1, may be triggered at the active player's discretion. So you can cataclysm the whole map if you want to, if it has the appropriate dies. If the active player decides to trigger more than 1 cataclysm, the leader chooses the order of resolution. There are 3 types: tornadoes, geysers, earthquakes. Each one recognized by the icon.
Yep.
Yeah. A cataclysm affects all buildings and units in the hexagon, no matter the color. Units outside of a building during a cataclysm. Scientist not in a building is immediately wounded. Scientist is already wounded is killed instead. Return the scientist to the player reserve. Motorized scientist cannot be wounded, so if it suffers from a cataclysm, it is immediately returned to the reserve. Building suffering from a cataclysm. If a building only has an automation chip, it loses the chip. If the building only has an unwounded scientist, the scientist becomes wounded. Obviously, it was wounded, it gets killed. If a building only has a motorized scientist, the motorized scientist comes back.
So being in a building or outside a building, same effect.
If the building has a unit and an automation chip, then the controlling player decides whether it is the automation chip that is removed or the scientist that is wounded or removed. If the building is abandoned, meaning no automation chip or unit is on the building, then the building is destroyed and returned to the pool.
Alright. Unless obviously it's protected from that cataclysm.
Protective technologies. Players hit by a cataclysm on a hexagon as the player has constructed a building providing protective technology effective against this particular type of cataclysm. They may use it to protect the buildings they control. No matter where the protective building is located on the map, as long as it's active, the controlling player may spend Controlling player may spend one required resource to protect all the buildings they control on the hexagon hit by the cataclysm, as well as the units and automation chips on those buildings.
You have to spend the resource.
No matter where this protect is, as long as it's active, they spend one required to protect all the buildings they control on the hexagon hit by. Okay, so the protected building doesn't have to be on the hex that's hit. It can just protect one hexagon. Because the active player could select multiple hexes to be hit. Protected building can only protect one hexagon.
But it doesn't have to be on the affected.
Correct.
Alright.
Units outside of any building on a hexagon hit by cataclysm cannot be protected and must suffer the effects. Resources spent come from behind the screen, controlling and protecting, or return to the protective. Reminder, a protective building is considered active as long as it has an automation chip or an active unit on it.
Somebody's got to operate it, either the robots or...
Energy field buildings protect against tornadoes. Steel domes protect against geysers. Shock absorbers against earthquakes. Cannot use their protected buildings to protect other players. Cannot do so. They are not automatic. Protected buildings are not automatically protected. Thus, players must spend the required resource in order to protect them too, as well as other buildings on the same hexagon at the same time. Each stock market is automatically protected against one type. There's no need to spend any additional resources to protect those against their whatever they're protected against. Suits and ties in the offices wouldn't work there if we didn't ensure the buildings are protected, would they?
Okay.
Step 4, planet exhaustion. Apparently has something to do with this.
That's our turn counter problem.
So, you ready for 2 actions? You think?
Sure.
You can exhaust your planet, in case you're wondering. Simulates the fact the planet is being exhausted of its mineral resources. Electricity and mycelium cannot be exhausted during this step because they are directly connected to the planet's cataclysms. The more the planet is exploited, the more it generates cataclysm winds and tornadoes. During this step, the leader has to take one available resource from the resource pool, place it on the next numbered spot available on the exhaustion track. Must choose one resource amongst oil, vibranium, or iron. It's also used as the turn tracker. When the 12th is added, it drags the end of the normal game. So that's the turn tracker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, if I'm reading
So
this
there's-
right, and if I'm
so we're
understanding
losing
right,
resources out of the pool.
yeah, we're gonna lose these ones.
Yep.
So for my 2 actions right now, the active player, I guess the first one I'm gonna take is to draw 5 hexagons. Explore.
Was it
Draw
5
5.
or X plus?
No, it's
X, which is
okay.
it's
fine.
X.
So 5.
And you,
Face up and add 1 to the.
so we get to see what's going in the
Yeah.
discard pile.
Yep. So they have to what? So
So you have to
they
mount
just-
mountains to mountains
Yep.
Mhm.
and split to split, and desert only, split to split. So we have 3 mountains, 2
Alright.
splits, and 1 desert.
Right.
And it's
I mean,
So-
this might be helpful because it would make desert on all sides over there.
Yeah, it can only go over there,
Or
and it looks like there's a spot to get mycelium.
and energy.
Mm-hmm. The other one's 2 myceliums. That one's open.
4 open spaces.
Yeah, I don't. Does that mean
building
that they generate over here, or you
I
have to
think
put a
when I
building?
think when you place a building there, you gain that.
You can see these are
Okay,
all
so-
blank, so you
so
can do
what-
whatever you want.
We're at Explore. Okay. You drew them.
Drew them.
Show them to all active players. Choose one they can place on the map following the following rules. Yeah, we know about
Mhm,
touching
got
and
that,
touching.
yeah.
Touching. The active player must be able to reach. You can. Scientists can only move to the new from the adjacent one. So yeah, you can reach with your.
Yeah.
Only one unit can be moved. That's a move. If no exploration is. Yep. All right. So
So the question is, what do these resources
When I'm
on?
building.
what do they mean
Yeah.
on the hex itself?
Yeah.
Does it mean that it produces those? It can take that kind of a building, because I don't think there's a building.
Placing
That
buildings, I guess, would be the question.
yeah.
So production.
I think the stuff that the buildings produces on the tiles, but I place one and get one.
To produce a resource, players need to control a factory building showing the same production die number on it. Oh yeah. They're numbered 1 through 6,
Right.
each type.
So
If they do, they take one resource of the type produced by this factory from the resource pool. Control more than one factory building with the same production number each one of them produces.
okay.
You control it when it has an automation chip or an active unit on it, or both. If there's none of the elements, the building is not controlled, is either abandoned or empty. So,
I think the actual question is
exploration example.
constructing buildings. Because
Some spaces have resources marked on them. Some
Yeah,
of them
because
are
it's
blank.
well, when it said construct, you cover.
right. So do you gain it when you build there? Is my question.
Or do you have to put a mycelium processing
Right,
plant
the
there?
yeah.
Here you're free to put whatever you want.
Right.
It looks like a restriction.
Ah. Okay. So this type of building can only be produced on that
Okay,
resource.
So it's a restriction.
Okay, so it's a restriction. So these ones are open.
Correct.
So
Right.
maybe we should pick this one. I should pick this one.
So there's
Where
5
would you
different
like it?
resource types of factories.
Yeah,
They can
this?
they can only go on the appropriate resource type.
But these are open. So you can
Build
build
whatever
whatever
you
the heck
want.
you want on it.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's why she
Yeah.
chose that. That's what she was trying to make the decision for.
Yeah.
So you can flip those upside
They
down.
those go upside down in any order under the pile, in whatever order you like.
Yeah, because the next person,
Shuffle,
I'm
shuffle.
only going to draw 2, for example, right? So if it comes down to me,
All right. So that's your first
That was
action.
one, and then
moving would be a second action if you wanted to move the attempt to build next turn.
right. but
Once
then
a
my-
construction is completed and paid for, the active player must move an active unit from the same hexagon onto the newly
right,
constructed
so you
building.
Need to have,
So you need to have
yeah.
somebody on there in order to construct.
Right, but
Exposing
if he triggers
yourself, correct.
Cataclysm, and he
Which
triggers it
I
on
don't
that
see
tile,
anything on that.
I
that
thought the
this
cataclysms
looks
were
safe.
triggered by the type of cataclysms
Right.
on the.
I don't see any icons for Cataclysm on these, so theoretically,
Right,
both of
theoretically
these are
it's
safe.
Unless that's not even supposed to be a tile in the thing, and that's a 4-player.
See, there's the
starting tile.
cataclysm.
Ah, so that's interesting. She's got a point. Is
Is
that
that the 4-player starting tile?
It is, but it's supposed to be part of this
It is
thing.
supposed
so
to.
it
I
is.
checked that ahead of
Okay,
time when
well,
I saw
I
it.
was
Okay.
like, wait a
Okay.
second.
I was counting the tiles. It says
Okay.
take all the other 23 tiles.
Okay.
Okay, that's fine. Okay, that's
Yep.
fine. It's a freebie. That's awesome. Thanks for drawing that.
yeah.
So yeah, it's protected. So and if you wanted to move,
Yeah,
you
I
could.
move.
Or what's another action you can do? What were your actions?
So
Explore.
apparently-
explore, move, trade. I could do trade if I wanted to, which would.
Oh, that's
mess
not a
with the
cataclysm.
Stock market.
Yeah.
Some.
Do you have anything to trade?
Well, I mean, we all start with one.
Okay,
That's-
so you could trade
that's
everybody
not a cataclysm
for
icon.
5, or you could buy
Or
stuff.
I could maybe increase that and then trade it. From
You
the
could also
cards that I
because you
draw.
can buy in the stock market now. You have gold.
True.
I mean credits.
Yeah, we all have 20 credits to start.
And it
with.
seems like producing in this place is a nightmare.
Right. So I could do that, or I can receive grants to get more money. I can take a fate control token
Yep.
to hold for later. There are options. But I think I am going to move onto the tile and attempt to build later.
Oh,
So then my turn would be over, and it would be over to your turn to move your dice
No.
down.
don't we go here?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and nothing
And
happens.
nothing happens. So then,
Okay, so now me.
yeah.
2. Here, when I went here, I didn't produce anything
Right.
because I picked 2. Okay.
Okay. So these colored dice is on here are the cataclysms.
Okay. So
and they look so much like letters, but they're supposed to be numbers. Color the die and locate on the hexagons the die icons of the given color and value. If there's no such, then it doesn't happen.
So like, had I played that, for example, you have a 5 on your red die, so the cataclysm in that top tile would happen because there is a 5 on that red dice.
Correct.
That's what you're saying.
Yep. And right now, when mine gets the cataclysm, there's not, unless I
No.
explore.
If it was on my turn and it was on there, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
right.
what I'm saying.
Your turn, though, you would have had to have a 5 green.
There is none. We discussed these were safe.
You could have played
if I
5.
had played that, then yeah.
There would have been a cataclysm on that.
Gotcha.
Right.
Okay.
That's why we questioned this
I get
one
it.
being in there because it didn't have any cataclysm. Okay, so I could theoretically move and build.
Correct.
Okay,
Because there is a tile.
Mm-hmm.
we move.
Hmm.
What are things that I can build?
So yeah, so the leader can control that. So if you don't want to end up having to explore, then not do anything. Yeah. So you can
we discussed
you
stock
cannot
market, we
you
discussed
cannot build any of the factories because there's no resource.
on what?
It requires this resource to be on
So
that
it's
tile.
not a free.
Okay.
It
These
require-
can only be built
Okay.
on the red resource. These are only the black and blah 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 blah. However, the other buildings,
But you only get one of.
you can have one of each of the
Okay.
6
You could
types.
build-
So
You have the protective types, and then you have the stock market types.
let's do a stock market type.
They cost you. You don't have any resources.
We all have one. And
Yeah.
we have 20 gold. So
But
does he have-
mycelium is not a resource that's used for building buildings.
Okay.
This one you need the lightning bolt resource. This one you need the whatever that is resource,
Okay,
and this one you need the
Fine.
red resource.
fine. So we move.
Now
Let's explore.
the protective buildings do not have a resource requirement, so
could
you
build a
could
protection
build a
building.
protective
How
resource
much do
building.
they cost?
5, and they give you 1 victory point.
Or I could go to the stock market and buy resources that I need.
Mhm.
Correct.
And how
Now
much do the buildings down there cost? 5 too?
5 plus
And
a
a
specific resource.
And a
So
specific.
these don't require a resource to build, but they require to be on a resource spot that matches the icon.
So let's
So you're
go to
gonna
the stock market and see
Okay.
how this works. That's my second
So,
action. So
draw
draw stock market card.
X
2.
number,
Two.
so you're gonna get 2.
2 cards.
Pick
Reveal
one.
pick
Pick one, and modify the stock market accordingly. Resolve any potential stock market crashes and perform a single market action transaction.
Well, what I'm not going to go then for electricity. So whatever building uses electricity, I'm not interested in because this is what's happening. It's either going to go up 2 in value or 3. So we're gonna make it go up 3 in value. So one
Okay,
goes
so
in the
that goes
discard pile.
And that one goes on top of the discard.
Okay, so
you're not supposed to
electricity
show
went
us
up.
what
Oh, I'm
the
not
other
supposed to show you.
cards.
But
Yeah, but since we're learning this,
Okay.
yeah.
So that went up in value. Okay. So now
You can pay 5
To buy.
I
or
can
up to 10
up to 10 because I can
to
buy,
buy 2 of
resources.
any one of these you want.
Okay.
But
Because I can't pick different resources.
No,
Right. So
'cause you
what
don't
what buildings are available? One was
well, you probably don't want to buy electricity.
correct.
So it's these 2,
This was the
and one of them is
times
a
2.
trading office.
Okay.
Takes 1 vibranium, protected from earthquakes, adds +2 to their die value when performing a trade action. The other is the marketing department, protected from geysers. Player controlling a marketing department doubles the number of stock market cards drawn during a trade action. 2 trade cards may be applied as well, provided they address 2 different resources.
Okay. So this one gives me multiple cards from here, and this other one, I'm sorry, the trade is
The trading office +2 to your die value,
okay. So this would have been a 4. I would have.
which means you draw 2 more cards than
Right.
than the dice. And the transactions can do X +2 resources.
All right. I'm gonna go for that. So that means I need to buy heck resources. This one.
The white.
This
is
one
like-
over here.
Vibranium.
So every time I buy one,
You spend 5 and it goes up 1.
so that's gonna okay. So I spend
If
5.
you only want to buy 1, you can buy 2.
Let's buy 2.
So it's only going to go up 1 anyway, but it's going to cost you 10 to get 2 of them.
Because I bought 2 as one action, it wouldn't have gone 5.
One
and then
action, yeah,
6.
that's what it says. One action
Okay.
creates up 1.
All right, there we go.
Okay, so you moved, you did your.
And you did a trade action.
Yeah, I don't need these. I'm not building them yet, but I know what I can build next turn.
So now you move your dice down to the Cataclysm. Cataclysm happens, and we're over to Mike.
Two actions.
Actions I'm going to explore.
So 5 tiles. And what does a spaceport use on 6?
Nothing there. The 6 is to let you heal a scientist.
Or bring in a scientist,
Yeah.
because that's what it produces
Yeah.
scientists.
It also fixes the automation.
So what am I limited to? Okay. I have to match everything. So these 2 can't be done because they're desert only all the way
Gonna grab a
around.
snack.
And they don't have a, so I can only go there with one of these 2. That's interesting. So what's the, that's only, okay. Let's, apparently oh, there we go. And then I will move.
Okay, so explore and move. And then you die moves down to Cataclysm.
Cataclysm is a green 1. I couldn't find a green 5 just to mess with things, but
Just mess with it.
no, I don't want a Cataclysm on that tile anyway.
Okay, so now we are in the Cataclysm phase.
We're done. So,
Okay, blah, blah, blah. Planet exhaustion, leader only. Choose a
Pick-
resource, excluding the electricity,
and the
And
yeah, it's
mycelium
the first 3 on
chemical,
this chart. So,
placing it on the exhaustion track.
and then pass that to there.
Yeah. So. I think he said oil was what he was choosing. Or that was what he made double, right? This, yeah. I'll pick one of those 3. Game is
Yikes.
different.
Yeah. It's trying to combine a lot of different things.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure that it's.
Successful necessarily.
We'll see. I would bet you can't optimize this until you play it a couple, 3 times.
Oh yeah, I mean that.
Your choice of depletion for the
One of
turn
these
marker.
3 resources on the depletion track.
Yeah, went up. I don't know what I'm doing, but okay.
Not
That's
that
Nope.
one.
not.
One up.
First 3.
Only 3, yeah.
And pass the leaderboard
Okay.
and dice.
Okay.
Now we gotta pick a card.
Yep.
Yeah, this not getting. Alright, can I see the rule book again? Because I gotta figure out what these symbols mean. Like, I appreciate the little shitty thing, but it doesn't help me a lot. Oh, it doesn't matter because I'm not gonna get to play. that
Correct.
effect.
It's only the
It's
leader.
just a
If
card
you
that
pick
I
one.
don't write.
Yeah, it's.
Let's see.
Okay.
Right.
Grab a card for the non-player because I get why the non-player dice has to be up here. It's the Cataclysm.
Yeah, it's what it's
So,
doing. It's triggering. So.
It's a 3.
I have a 5.
You don't put it up in the first spot unless you want it to be the first
You want
player.
him to go first.
I
That's
don't
up
really
to you.
care.
You
Okay.
get all you get all the dice,
Right.
change their value before you select the player order.
Okay. I picked 3. What'd you pick?
5.
Okay. And
1.
Mike? Okay. I'm gonna leave this one. Let's make Mike go first out of the players that are here. So, non-player. And any of us collecting nothing? No. Any reason. Right.
Doesn't
Nobody's
look
built
like it.
anything.
I mean,
Alright, Mike. I made you first to take your action.
Construct.
Doesn't get to take actions.
start like that.
I get to move my guy on.
The unit must enter the building. If no automation chip is available, none is placed. A player may control any amount of factories. So yeah, you place one unless you don't have any automation tokens left.
So that was construct. I will then explore. Well, looky there.
Another safe area. The 2-player starting tile.
Yep. Okay. Which? Who's up?
And then there's
Cataclysm.
Cataclysm. None.
Yeah, there is actually. You're 1 green.
Oh,
Yep.
I'm in a building.
No, that's 1 green. I'm green, and it's a 3.
Oh,
Oh,
you're.
He said you were 1.
No.
I.
Nope,
Yeah.
we're good. Okay. So for me, I'm gonna use the ability on the card. I get to play the scientist in my spaceport. That, and then my actions. I will move to this tile and construct whatever is a farm with the mycelium thing.
What die number? Yes, 1 through 6.
I know there's 1 through 6. I'm gonna take
Something
What do I
you haven't
use?
played yet.
Yes.
Because I want to make sure that you
I'll
produce.
take there. Oop. Okay. And there's 5 for the bank. Thank you. And let's move and build. So I'm done.
Okay, so I'm going to build that building that required the. What ore was this? Archimedes.
No, you're not getting any of this.
I know what you are. We're gonna eat when we get home, okay? Come, go. 5 back. That was a 10. Alright. And does this require an automation thing, or how's this work? Just operate?
Yeah, automation token goes over the purchase value.
Oh, okay. So it is able to. And then we're going to explore, please.
What's your number?
5. Oh, look at all the pretty resources with a whole bunch of cataclysms on it. Stuff.
Oh, by the way,
And it's got a touch too. Is that how that works?
Yeah.
it's got to touch every legal spot. You have to have a guy that can move to it. Yeah, I got a whole bunch of tiles that weren't legal.
Yeah.
I mean, this is legal, isn't it?
Yeah, totally.
By the way, victory points. Building is controlled if you have an automation chip or an active unit on, or both. Each factory is worth 2 victory points. They're stars. Protective building starting with 1. Spaceport worth 2. Motorized scientist 1. You also get 1 per 5 mega credits you possess. There's the victory points.
I didn't catch a word you were saying yet. Your mouth full of fool, but I can read it in a minute. There you go. Don't they go around top?
No, on the bottom.
Okay.
On the bottom in any order you choose.
Okay. So
It's a 4.
it's a 5 blue, and that looks
I can't.
like
Can't read that one.
So I screwed myself up.
no, that's a 4 on that die.
Yeah, it's a 4.
So confused if we're doing these cataclysms right. Because the leader can change the value of a single die before resolving cataclysm if they played a 1. Die owner may not use his fate token to prevent this. Hexagons matching the die color value are at risk for the cataclysm. Active player decides which to trigger. Least 1, and the leader decides which order they do.
If you'd have played a 1, you could have changed the 5 to a 4 on blue, and it would have been a cataclysm.
Right, no, and that's what I'm saying. So, like, on my turn, because I have, if this tile was out because I had a 3, that tile would have triggered. This tile had existed when I reached.
Because you have a 3 here, yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, you got to watch what you place.
Alright.
I'm winging this in case you hadn't figured it
No,
out.
I think we all are.
I mean,
like, it's fine.
like, I really don't see how we're generating resources and making
No.
money.
Here, this goes on the round thing.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree.
All right, so now I'm the leader.
Unless
Yeah,
something-
it doesn't. Yeah, who knows?
unless something crazy happens. Because I'm limited in what's going to produce.
Right. I mean, I'm gonna get 1 mycelium, Mike's gonna get 1 of the
Yeah.
vibranium thing,
yay.
but that's about it. Yeah.
I'm a 2.
I'm a 1.
And 4.
I'm also confused how we're doing 9 turns out of these. We reshuffle, I guess?
Yeah, you reshuffle.
Well, you reshuffle, you get them back in your hand.
I don't think that matters in a whole lot at all, so I'll just simplify the whole. Produce. I have a special ability. I think you get double resources.
Yes.
You name a resource.
Yeah, well.
That's the only resource you're making.
So that's me on the production. Then I go next. I'm going to explore. Well, that's not a good idea. So I hope this one plays. That's interesting. Oh, it does not. Well, actually, I don't want either one of these, but okay. So that one's not legal. Oh, wait a minute. It might be legal there. Nope. That one's illegal. Okay, so that would have to be like that. That one's not legal.
The producing one's 5.
5.
Oh, actually,
Building.
I changed a second.
Yeah.
Change that.
You
This
You can
one.
always choose
This
for
one
one
is
of your
legal. This one
actions
is legal
to
because it is next
the
to.
amount of
It is
your
next.
pits
It's next to my guy.
Yeah, but I got.
So I'm out here with my guy.
At the stock market
right. Oh, there's that too.
because I got 2
Yeah.
last time.
And then
right?
I will move.
Yeah.
And now it's one more gold coin,
Yeah.
1 more credit than it was before.
Right.
Cataclysm 2 red. Nope, I put a 3 red out.
I have a 1 year and a 4, so I'm good. All right. These cataclysms don't seem.
No,
to
I
be-
think it's Cataclysm on my dice,
right.
not all of yours.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I have on my tile. There's a 1 and a 4, so it's not even a 2. I don't even. There's a 3, 1, 3, and 4.
You're
You're 1.
Yours, am I correct?
no, I match. I go looking for matching dice.
And I was telling you on mine, there's a 1, a 4, and a 3,
Oh, okay,
so not a 2.
Yeah, I thought you were talking about
We have to check all the tiles, right?
Yeah, but
for
you're
blue
look-
for
but
red 2s.
For red 2s, which are his.
Not
I'm
twos.
saying on the tile I
Yeah.
was sitting at, which is the only other tile with cataclysms that I see, there's a 1,
Oh,
a
there's a
3,
red,
and
green
a
over
4. So
Yes.
not a 2.
A
We're
yellow.
safe.
A
Well,
yellow, a green.
The one I buried had a red 2 on it.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So, my 2 actions, right? Is that what I'm saying?
Yes.
Mike, you're moving me?
Yeah, your 2 actions.
So, we're going to build. That'll be a 5. I would like the building that produces electricity.
Die number.
So, it'll produce on that.
On that die number. Yeah.
Oh, that makes sense. And this is the one that I'm actually going to. Oh, so this is kind of actually sort of important. All right. I'm next, right, on the leaderboard, so my special ability will trigger. Where was that thing with all the special abilities, guys?
Back page.
Back page. Okay, so that's not bad. This one. What are planet cards? Oh. Interesting. this one. Play, so I want the 4. That was my first action. Build, yes. And then for my second action, I get to move a whole 1. I could explore 1 tile, or I could go buy something at the stock market. I have no money to buy. I could sell at the stock market. Okay, so let's sell at the stock market, and I draw 1 card.
Just 1.
Okay, electricity goes up by 1. Man, I wish I had some electricity to sell. So instead, I'm gonna sell this one for 6, which lowers the thing by 1. I believe when you sell the stock market price.
Yeah, you decrease its stock value by 1.
So that'll go down to a 5 if you don't mind.
Recognized by its effect on the dice icons on the hexagon. Huh? What are those, microscopic?
Yes, that I'm getting at that.
Because actually it doesn't match that. The leader calls out a color and a number and triggers the cataclysm. But the type is said to be on the dice. And I am not seeing.
Yeah, you got me on this one. I don't know.
When the die reaches the cataclysm, leader announces the color of the die and oh, I guess it is okay. Locate it, and you have to, so the leader triggers cataclysms.
It's whenever the die reaches the cataclysm space.
Match.
You call it out, and then if you find a match, cataclysm causes damage, either units outside of buildings or buildings that are on that tile.
Okay.
But we haven't had anything that matched yet.
Oh.
No, but it says the type is. Oh, I see. It's terrain looking.
So you see the tornado around the dice? That's,
okay.
That's what's going on here. Okay, so it's.
Oh, so what's
this? So this is a tornado. Cracked earth is an earthquake.
Right there.
And then there's a volcanic little.
That a volcano? Geyser thing?
Geyser type thing is the other one.
That's annoying.
So that's a geysery thing.
Oh, so that's
this
how you
is a
can
tornado.
What's protecting it.
And this is cracked earth. That's an earthquake.
Okay, earthquake.
So the tile has cracked earth.
Sure, but it's still back to the color and number of the die, right?
Yes. So I was trying to figure out what.
I'm sorry. I did a trade action. What did that do for me?
+2 cards. Sorry, you could have picked from 3.
3. Okay. Okay, so.
Oh, your +2 card thing.
Yeah. Okay. So.
But you're a 1. You're not +2. Oh, you have the market.
That's why I was trying to get. So instead of can you put the electricity down by 1, please? The electricity did not go up in value.
You didn't buy one.
I did not. No. I didn't use this card. I'm going to use instead of that card, this one, which makes the oil go up by 2 instead.
Okay.
Did you buy anything, or?
I did. That's all right. I
sold one of these, and he's resolved that.
Okay.
Moving it down by 1. Okay, so you did build.
I did build and trade.
So now it's
I just messed up because I should have drawn more cards because I have a market to be able to control that.
So now you would move down 1. We would say blue 1, which.
Well, you have the.
I don't see blue
you have the,
anywhere.
You bought the market.
Yeah.
Doubles the number of cards, so you only had 2 cards.
Okay.
But you can apply both of them.
I can apply both of them.
You're the ×2 building, yes. So you double your die face for the amount of cards, and you can apply up to 2.
Okay. I chose to apply 1.
Easy peasy. All right. So for me, I'm going to trade as well. I have 4.
And can I see the manual again? destruction look like?
We're gonna make energy go down by 2. Nope, wrong one. Energy.
Electricity.
Oh, you're covering it up. I just saw red.
Sorry. And then I'm gonna buy 2 at 6 apiece, right?
Okay.
12. I need 3 back if you wouldn't mind.
So that went up by 2, so it's back to where it was.
Yes. No, it
Should
goes
be
up by
back.
1.
It goes only go. It
Goes
only
one
ever moves.
transaction.
It only moves one
Okay.
per transaction.
All right. I'm obviously missing something here because I don't see how you make credits.
I need 3 credits back. Thank you. And then my second action. Will move a scientist here. Okay.
Cataclysm 4 green.
No.
Yes.
Oh, I didn't see that one over there. Well, great. Both of our scientists are wounded.
Boom, boom. Yellow 2. Nope. Okay. We will take oil, please. And then I need a card to play.
Here's this back. Alright. I have a 4.
Green 1.
Yellow is a 2.
No, yellow hasn't been pulled.
Yellow's a 5.
5, 4. You're a 1.
6.
6 for Mike. I want to put this up here real quick. Alright. So, on the 4, how did this work again? I need to declare one. So this card is doing step 2. The leader applies effects during the action phase when they're the active player and only when performing a trade action. First, you draw a number of stock market cards, then I can raise or lower.
So the first step is production.
So production goes into here. So I produce on a 4, so that'll be electricity for me. 6 for a 1.
Nope.
And that's pointless. Okay. So now we get into action. Okay. So I have production's done. Let's go to the stock market and make some money, I think. And we're going to. So with that, I double. So what would I draw? I normally draw 2, 1.
You normally draw 4.
2 times your
whatever's
dice.
on the die.
So
you're
8.
going to draw 8 cards.
1,
And you can do 2 of
3,
them.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I can also bump up or down the value of.
By plus or minus 2. Right.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So. What are you guys making? You're making. What kind of resources are you making? I can't see out there. Reducing. What does that produce, and what does that one produce? I can't see.
I'm producing these.
The
Mike is
mushrooms?
producing these.
Okay.
And then
So,
the
and I
empty
can
ones over
apply two.
Production is yet to be determined because this one has 2 options.
Right, but what's built right now?
Just this and the green things.
Okay.
And your
So we're gonna apply 2. Then I can change. Can I see that thing again? One can go up or down as much as I want by 2. Use any resource on a stock and raise or lower its value by 2. Okay, so we are going to play these 2. So we're gonna shrink vibranium by 1, and the other one will be the crystals by 2, and we're gonna bump this up by 1, 2, and I will sell my 1 silly lightning bolt for 9 credits. And as a second action, I can't build there, or can I?
On the tile you're on?
Yeah.
Like here.
Can I build?
Yeah, if you've got the resources and stuff.
Well, that's the question. I don't have the resources
If
there.
you got one more gray, because I think you had 2 of them.
I sold it, remember?
Oh, you sold both?
One more
I
gray.
sold 1 and got money to build something.
Okay.
Okay, so I need a resource in order to
Yeah.
do that.
To do what?
I wanted to
on-
build. Unless I want to build
Unless you want to.
No,
one
no.
of those protection buildings.
Time out. Those are not required resources. Those are only those kind of factories can go on that spot.
But that factory requires a resource to build?
Oh, no,
No,
it's
it doesn't.
It's
Okay.
the stock market
Then I
thing,
definitely
so
want to
never
build
mind,
there.
yeah.
Okay.
I was
So,
thinking the stock market.
no,
and
let's
the-
build.
Factories
Actually, you're
only cost
killing me.
5 each, but they have to go on a square with the marked resource.
Right.
So, sure, let's build. Let's do 5. Then I will take a building that makes ore, if you don't mind. Can I get the ore 3, please?
Which one's the ore? The gray?
Right.
Actually, do the ore 6 if you don't mind.
Is this the one you want?
Yeah.
And that was, yeah. I'm still trying to figure out something here. Where was? Oh, it's a free action. That's what it was.
What's the free action?
Healing your scientist.
Oh, yeah, it costs vibranium.
Mycelium.
Mycelium, vibranium.
The
I don't-
mushrooms. It
the
costs mushrooms.
Yeah, you need your Mario power.
Right. Right. Okay.
Okay, fixing the automation. All right, so I'm next.
Ooh, Archimedes. Son.
Yeah. John took his actions. He hasn't moved his die down though.
So
I'm sorry.
Cataclysm 4 blue.
There.
Yep.
But he's inside a building.
So he's just wounded. Right? Is that what happens there?
Or I think you choose if it's the scientist or your
The
marker
automation.
that takes the damage. But I think you're, if I know what you're planning for next turn, you want it to be the scientist.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, so it's over to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I could just spend right now as a free action Barbarian to get him back up.
Yes, you could. Mm-hmm.
In case there's more accidents happening.
Mm-hmm.
5 to build an oil building.
Can you build with a wounded scientist?
Yep,
Mm-hmm.
I just looked that up. And besides, I'm gonna whoops, as free action, I'm going to fix him. And then I'm going to take a trade action with 6 cards, please.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You get to play 1 unless you have. Oh no, I was the active player.
Well, this is pretty easy. -2, and I'll buy 2. And it'll go back up 1.
Correct.
So I'd spend 4. And I get 2.
Okay. That's
And I go down
6
chart to 6 red, which I don't believe exists.
No. Okay, I'm gonna do a trade action 1. Oh, and it makes that +1. And I will sell a electricity for 9.
You're welcome.
Do you want to give a 1?
Sure. So that was 1 action. My second action. My second action, I will build an electricity. It only cost me 5, right? I'll take 5.
And
Do you know what
And
number
I
you
want
want?
the 2 if it's still there. It should be there. Yeah. And there's my little. Okay. That's me.
Cataclysm green 1.
Green 1. Yep,
There.
right there.
So here's a stupid
So
question.
it damages the buildings.
Yep.
Chips are destroyed and returned to the.
But the active player chooses, like if there was multiple 1s, that's when you would make that call.
Yeah.
Understood. But in this case, there is no multiple 1s. It has to go there.
No, the active player only gets to manipulate. Oh, I mean, as far as can activate. So
I'm wondering over here. I was the active player when this happened.
Right. Is the cataclysm phase supposed to happen all simultaneously?
No.
Maybe? After like
No.
The only
or
one
2
that happens
actions?
simultaneous is the
So you move the dice down.
yeah. Because I could potentially get my mushroom back if I could have modified this die.
When the die reaches, you announce what color and what it is.
Yeah.
The player is located on the hexagon. If there's no such die, nothing happens.
Okay.
If there's at least 1, you must trigger a minimum of 1 cataclysm
Okay.
on the whole map. You can do all or only 1.
Okay.
In
And
this
that's my
case,
only-
1 is 1 is 1
right.
is 1.
And I can't modify like that. This hit me basically.
You can
so-
modify the dice if you
Only if you
played
played a 1.
the special ability to do so.
Okay.
So both
Okay,
of us
so those
lose
are
our
those-
both of us lose our automations.
Mm-hmm.
We have
Which
to go.
seems
We have to go.
relevant.
We have to go repair our buildings.
If you're gonna play that card to generate on that building again.
Well, you can fix the automation chip on the building you control.
You have to
by
put a.
paying
You have to get
5. Yeah,
a scientist
put a
on
scientist over there.
Right.
to get
But
the
if
building back.
and these are considered unoccupied and can be claimed by any scientist.
I get that. The question I have is, does it still count as a victory point?
No, you have to control the buildings to have victory points for it
Gotcha.
because they don't belong to anybody.
No. That's yeah. Okay.
Okay, so
So yeah, you can quickly make scientists and go run over and take somebody else's buildings.
Quickly, you need a 6, and you need to have an open spaceport.
Mm-hmm.
That's how you make a scientist.
Mm-hmm.
It's on the 6 card.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's on the 3 card.
On 3.
Okay, it's on one of those cards.
Yeah,
And you have to be the active player.
Right.
Play the 3 card. Have an open spaceport.
or do like she did, already generated one on your
Yeah.
turn. Chose that as your special activity that you didn't choose when
Yeah.
it was your turn.
Right. You have a 3. It's your active turn.
Yeah.
Right.
This is exactly what I
That
said.
is exactly what
It is,
Okay.
Okay,
but
so 5.
it's a pretty wise
yellow.
choice to get a second scientist.
Yeah.
5 yellow, nothing happens, right? So then you have to place one on the track before you pass it on to me. It's this or that.
Kind of the point where
Can't put a green one on there. It's only the first 3.
the first 3. You said that.
Oil becoming
Oil.
scarce by the moment.
Oil's pricey. Okay. So now we're over here passing that. We're all picking a card. What was the ability on the 6th card again? Can I see
Wait
that?
a minute. What am I doing? Yeah.
Your
Okay.
retrieve.
You get the.
Get 1 back.
Yep. You pick them all up and then you pick which one you want.
Right.
Can't be the 6 again. If you want to use something that's in your discard pile rather than what's in your hand, that's what it amounts to.
Yeah.
I gave up my 6. I'm not going to do that.
I'm giving it up for production. So. That's you. Okay.
Yeah,
I was like, what?
sorry.
No, it's okay. I was like, I'm still trying to learn my new phone.
Okay.
So we're revealing.
Everybody chosen.
Yellow is a 4. I'm a 4.
I have a 6.
Okay. All right. Move down to we all produce stuff. I get 2 electricity. Actions. I'm going to do a.
Oh, I get an oil, please, because my 6 oil or my 4 oil produced.
And I would like an ore.
Yes, yes, 6. Okay. All right, I'm gonna do trade. I'm gonna put oil down to.
So decreases to value.
I'm gonna sell 3 electricity.
Nice.
For
24.
24.
Wow. Look at you. You're double
Here.
welcome.
I'll give you 1 for.
Which one of those is a victory? It's each 5, is it?
Yeah, each 5. So that was 1 action. Was my trade action. Nice. It's gonna be to move, and you can move
1.
spaces, right? Move any amount of unwounded units X spaces. So I have a 2.
So your movement,
so
yeah.
I'm gonna go here with this unit and claim my spot back.
It's yours again. You fixed it. Silly robots.
Okay, that was it. My
Yeah.
2 actions.
Now Cataclysm.
Cataclysm is green 2.
That's
I
a
see
1
green
green.
3, green 1, and green 4. Nope, no green 2.
Lots of green cataclysms out here.
Yep.
Okay, yellow
4.
or yellow.
Oh, I see a yellow 1.
Yellow 1 is.
Okay.
Mike, your 2 actions. 4 red on Cataclysm.
4 red.
That's a 3 over there. What is that?
3 green.
3 green.
There's a 3 red is the only red.
I
that
can't even see the colors on here.
Yeah.
Here I can see them, but here they're blue is fine. This is blah.
Not
Okay.
very friendly.
Okay, so I guess we're going to go stock market first. So that's 6 cards, but I get to double to 12.
Yeah.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And I get to play 2.
Yeah.
Yep. So we know what we're fishing for. Did I get any of them? That wasn't what I was looking for. No, I got none of them.
Yeah.
All right. So that's fine. It can take 3, right? Down to a 1. Okay, so -2 and -1 on the mushrooms. So they're down to 1. So I will gladly pay 2 for 2 mushrooms.
So you took the mushrooms all the way down to 1.
Correct.
by
And bought
playing
2 of them.
different cards.
Correct. Oops. What is it? And can I have 2 mushrooms, please? Because I bought 2 with that trade action.
Mushrooms.
Then I'm gonna spend 5. I would like to purchase the crystal producer for 3.
The red crystal stuff.
Red crystal for 3. I don't know if that thing is come in handy, but it sure is nice to manipulate the stock market. The mushrooms, oh, then they went back up because I bought 2.
Okay, so you've taken your 2 actions.
Mhm.
There's no blue 6s on the board. I will put these on the tracker, and I will pass this over to Mike.
And then once I'm done playing the last card, that's no other option. I have to play that
Right,
card.
you have to play
Yep,
that card.
you have to
and
play
hit
that
it.
card, and then
And
next
then
turn you
next
play.
turn,
You get
it's
them
gonna
all
be my
back.
turn, and I get to pick what I
Yep.
want.
Isn't that nice?
It kinda
Okay,
is that.
so
I don't know what my
during
next turn's
step
gonna be then.
2, leaders action. So planet card selection. We did that. Leaders action. Okay, so yellow is a 1. I'm a 3.
Green 6.
Green 6.
Blue 3.
Blue 3. Cause card revealed during step 2 applies the effect during the action phase when they are the active player. Okay, so my special, the 3 card is activated during the action phase, not during the production phase.
Correct.
That way I can produce 2 explorers, because the production phase is when you produce explorers. And in order to produce one there, I have to take a move action, then produce the other one with this action. It's a free action. Because production phase is when you build explorers on your spaceport.
And it
Right,
costs
but
what?
you would have to have a 6 to put a explorer. You won't, so you won't get 2.
Correct.
No, production, I don't think you have to have a 6.
You have to have a 6. That's what we established initially, when nobody produced anything
Right.
apart from being on that space and not
Right,
being able to.
which is why I'm going to be able to put a scientist out. Because I have a 6.
Well,
You-
I'm
yes.
going to be able to put one out
And it'll
because
cost. There's a
because
resource
I
involved.
have
with
the free
scientist at the 6.
So,
I don't
production-
think there is. It's a production.
okay,
pack.
so I got to do these first.
Gouged.
We'll let yellow get hit first.
Or no, I think you're correct. I think in order for me to produce it, I have to pay a mushroom. If I want a
Yeah.
roving one, I have to
Pay
pay
an oil.
a oil.
Right.
Correct.
So, gotcha. Gotcha.
Yeah, there's a production cost.
Yeah.
Otherwise, with the 3, you get it for free.
Right,
Provided
correct.
that you have a spaceport.
Yep.
So
It's okay. It's just a noise argument. It's that Facebook thing. you know,
Yeah.
so-
Fine.
You okay? Like, I don't know what it is about.
okay,
so
so let's
high
see.
pitched.
I don't think it matters, so I'm going to do it this way. So production. I produce on a 3, so I get one of the gray ones.
I don't know what I'm producing on a 3. It's something.
We're producing red. Here you go.
Crystals.
Are you producing? You're producing
producing
on a 6.
nothing.
You have a 6. You're producing here.
But I have to pay, and I don't have the cost to pay.
Correct.
So
Well,
therefore,
that sucks.
I'm not doing anything.
Okay, so then this guy goes to Cataclysm 1 yellow. Or
There is a 1 yellow there.
it's over here.
Yep. So we'll take it on the astronaut.
Oh, everything's affected.
Yeah, so I think you lose
lose-
that, and then you could choose to either lose it or take it on
Okay.
the astronaut there.
Unless you had a protect, you didn't have any
He does have a protection. No.
for the stock
Didn't,
market itself. Yeah, but it's not on any
Well,
Cataclysm.
yeah. What's the over on the corner there? It's hurricane. Is that what he protects against?
So yeah. So is
And
there
that's
something
an
that
earthquake?
earthquake is what hit? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
No, he protects against geysers.
Geysers. Okay, that's what that symbol is. I can't quite see it from this far.
And you either take the automation off or wound your scientist.
You wounded a scientist, but use a free action and save it.
Well, yeah. All right, where was I? It's over to me, right? I'm coming down to my 2 actions. One oil is a free action. This ability is a free action.
Yes.
Then I need to take a trade action for 3 cards, please. Well, yeah, I don't know if that's going to be so wise, but I'm going to do it anyway. Up 3, 2, 3, sell 1.
4, 6.
8.
You got 2s?
No.
Is that
And
your
it
2
goes
actions?
down 1 for selling.
Yep.
Alright.
My second action will be. Let's see, we're coming up on a new turn next turn. I'm going to go down there with a move. Cataclysm 3.
You're okay. Okay. Hey, who's?
Oh, and you're Cataclysm 3.
Oh. Okay. Kill off my scientist.
Yuck.
Factory still produces, so.
Yeah.
Well,
which is
for
the-
now, yeah.
That was the idea. Okay, so then John gets
Yeah,
to take
but
his.
I know,
That's why
I
I
get
ran my
you.
guy down
I
there
see
to-
you. Okay, okay, come on, come up here.
Probably should have bought the other type, but now that I think about it.
I know. It's just a sound, buddy. Oh, that's all it is. Okay,
Poor guy. It's okay.
and it's a constant because it's that same sound on
Right.
every single phone. It's okay. Okay.
Buddy.
Hey, okay. Gotcha. Okay, there you go. Relax. Okay, what was I doing?
I don't know. You're trying to pick what your actions.
Yeah.
So
Alright,
you
buddy.
are going into your action phase.
So moving is an action, and it takes a move to go
You
fix
can
some
move 3.
buildings. Well, I can
Yeah.
move. Can I move 2 places and fix that build to both those buildings?
Yeah.
Okay, so that seems to be a worthy cause.
One movement per building.
Hey, Babalu. Two. That was one action. And for a second action, we're gonna go ahead and build a crystal generator on, let's do the 6 if it's available. Oh no, sorry, not the 6, the 3.
Not here.
Not here. Okay.
No, because you already built the one on 3.
Yeah. Okay. So, arts.
2 and 3 are gone.
Yeah, 2 and 3 are gone. Let's take that 6.
And then you have to put your guy in there.
Yeah. I don't know if it's such a wise idea to put everything.
I don't know. Put all your eggs in a basket.
It does, but it seems like this game you don't get a lot of.
Well, one of the things that can happen, of course, is the green person could pick 3 deliberately to cause you grief. Otherwise,
Right.
you control the other one.
Yeah, so you're gonna avoid 4 at
So-
all costs now. So,
I couldn't avoid 3 at all costs, so I mitigated it by getting an extra worker down there to.
okay, so then you're down to Cataclysm. There's
Cataclysm
no
3 blue. Don't think there's a 3 blue anywhere.
No.
Green is now up for actions.
Alright, we're gonna explore.
6
6.
times. Ooh.
That should
Pick
be
a good
6.
tile.
Okay, let's see what we got here. There's that.
Pick one with no green cataclysms is obvious choice.
Wow, most of them have.
The other problem becomes legal tile to place.
Yeah.
Because I drew like 5 and only one of them was
I got
legal.
lucky
The
so
only
far.
the only legal was out this way, and I had to have a worker there to do that.
Yeah.
So you
Let's put that one.
there it is. There's a legal spot.
Oh, oil.
And
Which is
I
in
moved
short
the
supply.
tile as part of the explore action, right?
No. At least not the way it reads. You may move, which is a move
Must
action.
be adjacent. Must be one space. It must be X divided by 1 spaces away from motorized or scientists, and the unit must move onto it. So now I have to move. When you explore, you have to move onto the top. What this is. So,
Yeah, that's what it
Part of the
exposes
explore.
you,
yeah.
basically.
And then if I want to construct
So, what are you reading?
the player aid, it just under the explore action, it must either be X for a motorized scientist or 1 space away from your scientist. The unit must move on to it. It's the end of the explore action.
Nice of them to clarify that.
Pay 5.
Not the way it reads in the rule book.
I'm gonna pay 5 for a 2 oil producer.
It says it must move, which means you take a move action. But
I mean, I can.
no, it's
Must,
if they've
like, yeah, I see what you're saying, but
Okay.
they
That
should have
seems-
said then place the scientist on the hex.
because
Yeah.
that seems way screwy.
Yes.
Waste an action to explore, then I have to move there.
Yeah, well, we didn't
Yeah.
do that at the beginning of the game.
Right. Well, if we want to wait, then I can wait.
No,
that's fine. Go ahead.
it's-
If somebody has clarified that because
Right.
of translation issues,
It
hear
seems
you.
to make sense to me, right? You move on to the tile, you explore.
must move. They shouldn't use the word move.
Yeah.
Must place their explorer on the hex.
It should
Yeah.
say reveal a hex, place your thing on it. Place
Yeah, that's
your
what it should say. Well,
yeah, where are you going?
I was
What's
gonna
going-
build the
Yeah, you did.
2 oil.
She wants the 2 oil.
Oh, look at that. Their numbers
Give
are
that to
opposite
me.
on the backside. They're like sevens. If you use so you got to put them all on one side. Well, now I wonder. So
if
there's
it was
another unexplained.
Well, can you have more than?
Because if
You
that's
can
the
duplicate the numbers, and you didn't know it because we didn't. I had everything face up.
Case, did we have a 3 available? Because I would have preferred that one.
I don't know if that's legal or not.
They're not the same on the other side. That's
They're
weird.
no, they're
No, it's
sevens.
7.
The
It makes a
reciprocal of 7.
right? So you
So
got a
one
4
on the back of
and
a
a 3.
6.
You
It's like
got
just like a
s-
dice.
6 and a 1.
So you
Yeah,
could
just
you
like a
could
die.
build two
That's
of
how
each
your
number.
6-sided dice are always coded that way.
Right. Yeah. Weird.
I just
Okay.
discovered that because I put them all on one side. I got 1 through 6.
It wouldn't change, but if I can get a 3 instead, I'd rather.
I
have a
have
3.
no clue.
See anything? Or hear anything?
I'm beginning to not
Yeah.
be
Well,
really
I
happy about this whole.
No.
Going
I
into
agree.
this game, I was worried about translation because
Yeah.
this anything that's sort of like this feels like
Yeah.
they didn't do a separate box for the U.S. They literally did one, which has French on one side, right?
Yeah.
And I get all of that. It just
Does-
makes me very antsy about
Does it
cutting
say anything
steps.
about it in your little player aid?
No, it doesn't. The construction thing just says add a building on a tile containing one of your unwounded units. The unit must enter the building.
No.
If no automation chip is available, none is placed. It doesn't say anything about buildings being 1 through 6. Doesn't say anything.
My impression would be that you can choose a side, so potentially multiple people can have
Right.
6.
But then it would make, like, let's say you chose a 3 for the second one,
Yeah.
you would have 2 that trigger on 3.
Correct.
So, like,
That's what you want.
yeah, well, yeah, I know that's what you want, but I'm saying, like,
But
would that be
that's what I would want.
a legal thing for?
I mean, right now I have 2 that trigger on 6. They're just.
Well, no,
but
I
I'm
meant 2 the
specializing.
same.
Yeah, I'm specializing in oil.
Yeah.
You manipulate the market to sell oil.
Right.
You go down
Right.
that route.
Right. I don't know.
The only thing it said about it in production is if you have multiple 3s, they all produce.
Right.
But it doesn't say
You
anything
have 2
about.
of the same building with the same number on it. Okay.
Well, if you guys let me have it, I'll take 3. So that's up to you. I don't. If it's available, it might already be bolting them out on some other.
No, because it would have to be a 4 on the other side if they're 7 or whatever. So then I don't see a 4. So it would have to be in the pile still. I mean, theoretically, if a tile is
I don't know if that
available, you
changes
should be able
yours.
to-
What you no, because you couldn't build that
No,
out there. Right?
And I'm building multiple things on 2.
Right.
So like all of my stuff triggers on 2.
It'd be a great 2 round for you.
Yeah.
See, that's a bit like very limiting to me. But I'm like, hey, this is the scarce. I don't know why we went all the way to this planet.
Right.
Risk
Just
limb
to
that
get-
just to extract one little
Yeah.
nugget once every 9 turns or 6 turns,
Right.
whatever it is. So,
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, with the completion of my 2 actions and there's no 6 green on the board, we're coming around to the next round. So
Yeah.
I think Mike was the one that was in charge of that one.
he is in
so-
charge of this one. Then it comes
Yeah.
to me.
so
Green
then-
6?
Yeah, there's no green 6s out there. But
But that's why I wanted to change that because
Gray.
I can manipulate
Gray.
what card I'll
there
get.
you go, and then it'll move on to John.
What are we doing about that? Because I need to know what card
Yeah,
I'm
I
taking.
know. I just
I
didn't want us to forget
I
a
am
step in
not-
between. That was my whole thing.
Did we do this Cataclysm?
Yeah, there's no green.
Do they all
sixes
have?
out there.
Oh, those don't have enough, so it doesn't matter. Limit may build, control, occupy. Okay. I have no clue. There does not seem to be. Oh, we've been missing something? No. Oh, it's an action. I get it.
He's better.
Could have done that instead of that. Dumbass.
Dumbass, you don't know. I mean,
Well, no, I forgot about grants. Instead of selling something,
Oh,
I
yeah,
could have instead of a trade action, I could have just taken
6
my die roll.
credits.
It was
credits,
3.
Yeah,
But-
credits, meh.
It depends where you make more money, right?
I have no idea.
Obviously, arguing in my favor, but like,
Oh, snappy.
more snappy.
When a non-player die reaches the Cataclysm phase, all the Cataclysms present on the map corresponding to both the die's color and value.
Well, we haven't had any that matched yellow. Yellow's only got a 1 out there, so
So, no. Color, all yellows, and all ones.
Oh. That's significant. So, on this tile, I have
Both.
earthquake problems. Is that what I'm
Because
saying?
I don't know what the language-
We made a ton of issues.
So,
problems.
check the language on that one.
It doesn't have anything about the non-player character on the player aid, so help at all.
Yeah, so, yeah.
So then
we'll
we've
just
done-
leave it alone.
Yeah, because I'm like, we've played it wrong then the whole game.
Can I get a decision on this 3? Because my problem is, how do you even keep them separate, right? I mean, there's no way to go, this was a stack side up. I mean, you keep it that way.
Right.
Then if he gives it to me, make sure you keep it in that order.
Right. I mean,
Oh, they were just sorted for my convenience.
That's fine, but can I have the
One point.
3 is what I'm getting at.
would be on the other side of the 4.
Because I can trigger that now and make double income.
Yeah.
Be outstanding. Okay, are we good?
Yep.
All right, what am I doing?
Know what we're doing.
I kind of think I know what I'm doing, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to do it
no,
right.
I mean, we might have the next turn planned out, but that doesn't mean, like, I don't think any of us are, like, completely striving, like, oh, I'm gonna win this. Like,
oh, no, absolutely not. I'm just
Yeah.
like, what the heck am I, huh? First of all, how do I even get resources was question number 1.
yeah.
I'm not even paying attention to earthquakes and all that good stuff. Okay, so if I got this right, on that tile, there is 2 instances of earthquakes or 3. What's the yellow?
Yellow
3. You have
one.
3 on there.
So I should go build a building that protects against earthquakes.
No, I think the yellow one is actually a tornado.
Tornado. So tornadoes and earthquakes are my. This is an earthquake. This is an earthquake. That's a tornado.
Correct.
So buildings that protect against tornadoes and earthquakes would be my next logical step
Well,
in my head.
that means that hex is affected by both.
Right. But if I have 2 buildings, one. So what does it take to build a protection building?
From
Resource.
earthquakes, you need the gray, is it? No, you need pink to build the
pink,
earthquake.
Is what?
the
crystal.
red crystals.
The crystal.
You need the crystal for the earthquake protecting building, and you need electricity for the
Excellent. Thank you.
tornado
Thank you very
building.
much. That's what I needed. Okie doke. So
No, that's the marketplaces.
yeah, there would
No, the protected buildings don't require anything except 5.
5. Outstanding.
You just have to pick the one that protects. Okay.
Outstanding. Okay. great.
Protection buildings, just like factories, you build 5, and they can go anywhere.
There's space. Yes, that makes sense. Okay. So everybody ready to reveal their cards? Then?
Or, yeah,
You just need money.
no, they can only go on a specific space, just like
What's that specific?
they're like the factory. So, the one that protects against tornadoes has to go on a blue electricity space, and the one that protects against earthquakes has to go on the crystal space. It's part of the mandatory requirement, just like a factory.
Son of a biscuit. Then.
It's got the same mandatory requirement of location that a factory has.
Okay.
These are unlimited location, but cost a resource.
So I can't build them there. It's open.
Correct. Can't build any protection buildings in the open. They have to be on the type of terrain that they're protecting against, or type of thing, so they can.
Okay, so exploring may be the better course of action. Everybody ready with the card?
Yeah.
And you put depletion there, right? You put the gray is what you did.
I did.
All right, so
There's only 3 turns left to
3
get
for
out of
me,
this madness.
6 for me.
6 for you.
4 and 5 for the yellow.
I don't even know sequence-wise if I'm doing this right. I just want to go first because I want to knock my stuff out and not worry about anything else. Okay,
Fair.
so
Well,
first thing, we go to production. So producing on 3s for me, so that's going to be 2 crystals. Is that what I'm seeing? Is that it? Okay. And then production for
Me is nothing.
production for 4 red
is a oil.
oil. Okay, sorry. And then a 5 yellow doesn't produce jack and diddly. So now going down the line, 2 actions. So first action. When does this happen now?
I mean, your special ability?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, during the action phase right now.
If the leader is not using the reaction phase, the special effect is lost. The leader can place a new scientist on a spaceport control, having to pay the mycelium resource. Okay, so it has to be empty. We're good. So I'm gonna get a little dude over there that got funny feelings. Gonna be busy doing stuff. Okay, so first action. Let's try to manipulate the stock market with 6 cards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. All right. So, Yep. All right. So we're going to increase the value of that one by 3 of
3
the
on the
crystals.
crystal.
And then play the second one additional.
Another 2 on the crystal.
Okay.
Make them suddenly very valuable.
Sounds good, right?
And then sell them.
Sell 3. That's part of the same action. No, I can only sell 2. No, you can only buy 2.
You can only buy 2. You can sell as many as equal to the pips you have, which is 3.
3. So 3 for a total of
24.
24. 10. 4. That was my first action. My second action, I'm going to go explore with 4 tiles, please. So for earthquakes, you said we needed lightning bolts.
You need lightning bolt for your tornado, and you need crystal for your earthquake.
And this has got to be a legal tile. Can it go there? I can't even tell.
Nope. If it's desert all around, I've seen that. You can't go there.
Can't go there.
However, you have a scientist here, so you can just build a mountain off that way or a mountain off that way.
If it had a desert tile, which is what I need, which I don't have, so that's a problem, right? So.
Yeah.
Disaster Central.
Okay, then we're cataclysming 3 blue.
Yes.
If there's any 3 blues.
Then green gets us 2 X.
I'm going to take a
How many do you need?
6, so I'll take
So
those
here's the
two.
first 2, and then
Yep.
you need 4. So as part of an action, you can't buy. Buying is an action, and selling is an action.
You can only choose
No,
one
trade
or the
action
other.
is a trade
Yeah.
action.
So could I have bought something if I wanted to?
You can buy or sell as your action.
Buy or sell.
Yeah.
So I sold.
So. Make oil go up to. I'm gonna buy 2 for 4. Yep, the mushroom. Need 1 back.
Coming.
Mushrooms. Okay, that was my turn.
Then we're
No
6
green,
greens.
6, I don't think.
Okay, so she's done, and I'm going to 2 actions, which. Well, I think I need to take a shot at exploring. Hope I get a legal tile, which is not very likely, but we shall see. No. Oh. Well, there's a legal tile. Let's see if there's another one. No, there's another legal tile. All desert, all desert. That's 2 illegal tiles. There's no way to place all desert adjacent to my guy.
Your guy's out there.
He's
Yeah, you could put us on a.
no, I'm red.
Oh, okay.
I have 1 and 1 only guy, and they both have 1 red as their. Isn't that just lovely? So these 2 are illegal. These 2, as I understand it, will fit right there. Yes, they will. Which one do I want to do? Well, Okay, so that. I think.
Yep. That's a good one.
And then I will build. I will build a 2 lightning bolt right there. 5. That was 2 actions, and we're cataclysming a red 4.
That's a 3 over there.
That's I have red 5, red 3, red 1.
Okay. So then yellow.
Yellow 5.
Yellow 5.
Only a yellow 1 out there.
The yellow 2, I guess? Or is it a 5?
Oh, there's a yellow 1 and a yellow 2. Yeah. Or is it a 5? No, that's a 2. Yes.
And what resource?
Oil, please. For fossil fuel, there's a problem with it.
Fossil fuel.
All right.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
2.
So am I.
Oh, 4.
Yellow is a 6.
Oh, wait a minute. That was a 4 here, isn't it?
Yep. Card never to be played.
Yeah, well, not for me at least.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Well, there's only one more turn after this one.
Yeah.
So let's do
Thank
this
God.
one. Okay.
Oops, sorry. Did I say
What,
that?
no.
All right. So
Yeah.
I got a 6.
You're gonna play 6. Okay. All right. I'm gonna go first.
Okay.
Means I get, and because I played 2, I'm gonna
Double
get
raise.
double everything.
Yep.
So I get 2 of these, 2 of these, and these.
Nice. Guessing you're going.
And I get 2s that are red. I get a blue and a pink.
I don't think I have anything on 2s.
Well, you're 6.
I don't have it.
You do have.
Yeah, no, I see that coming up. But I was just saying I don't have anything that could ever produce on a 2. Yeah. Well, when I get to it. Oh yeah, we're now. Yeah, you're right.
Goes to production. Okay, so for my.
And you have a 6? Oh, you can't because you
Yeah,
got
'cause
guys
he's
sitting
full.
there.
Correct.
Okay, for my
I
actions.
don't know how much I can do with the Explorer again. But in the fixed buildings.
Action.
Oh, yeah.
Move. I want to build one of the ones that is multi-trade,
You mean the multicolored one?
Yeah.
Because she.
which is an electricity.
5 and electricity.
Okay, so there's a 5. There's an electricity. Build it there.
She's about to bank in some serious money.
And I move and built. So those are my 2 actions.
And you are a green 2 for cataclysms.
I don't think there's a 2 out. Nope. Okay.
Okay, so over to moi. Well, I can't do much of anything. So let's give let's do a move to get that iron down, and then I'll take a trade action for 2 cards, please. Well, that'll do. Up 1, sell all 3, which will be 24, and bring it down.
Okay.
20. And then Cataclysm red 2. Don't think there is any. Nope. Oh yeah, I can't do that. Well, I could do that. Can't do that one. No, that's out. No. That's interesting. If I do that, then I do that and that. Huh. Weird. I could get last turn. I'm gonna have the last special ability, huh?
No, it's not coming back to me.
Nope. An interesting situation, though.
Which makes sense because it started.
Do I want to do that again? I want. I don't. That could be. So we're doing blue actions.
Mm-hmm.
Me. All right. So I am going to build a. Is a 4-2 available?
Yep.
Please. And then
Cost you 5.
must be fun. Is a mushroom to yeah, a mushroom 2 available. That's a 5 as well, right?
And Cataclysm.
I see a 1 out there.
4.
Oh, and a yellow.
Yellow.
6. No.
1. Place one of these.
Crystal.
Go to mark for the last turn.
The great debate. I don't think it's going to matter much. See, I have no. Well, there is a. I could. Does it get me? No. It does. And that's interesting. I have one of those. That's a serious. Well, why not? I say. Why not? I don't think it'll matter, but okay, everybody got their card?
Yeah.
Yellow is a dos. I am a trace.
I am a dos.
And 5 for me.
You want lots of cards. Now, let's mess people up. Those going second. All right, so production. My 3 is what? It's a gray.
A mushroom. Whatever that is. Oh, a cube. 4. A mushroom and an orb.
Okay, as a free action, flip. And I will take a move.
Can they move?
3.
No, that's what a motorized.
Okay, so I have a motorized. Either way.
Yeah, it costs 1 oil. There you go. Then I want to make sure I didn't steer you wrong, but I think
No, that's
moving
correct.
from 1 hex.
No, you're
Yeah,
correct.
but within the hex.
well,
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't.
I just didn't
He
want.
doesn't cost any mycelium. I don't know if he costs an oil.
He costs an oil if you want it motorized.
Yeah. If you
Yeah.
want
No, in the special abilities on the
fine.
back
Oh,
page.
because you played that card. That's right.
I'm not buying one off of a
Yep,
6.
yep.
I'm buying one off.
Okay. Although the leader applies the fact. Okay. If the leader does not use it, okay. You can place a new scientist on a spaceport they control without having to pay them a same resource. Has to be empty for units
It
prior to
has
its
to be-
free action.
It has to be the regular scientist for it to be the free one.
Okay, that's fine. Can he then pay as a free action oil to make it
Motorized?
right?
Let's see, why
Because
not?
well, I don't know if it's a free action, but that's I didn't see anything. It's not like
That would
it's
totally-
not one of the actions. you
It
know?
totally would change what I would play as a card.
I think you're gonna be okay because what you would do.
Because I'm going to ruin Shelby's day here.
Oh, I'm sure she's happy
Ruin
to hear
my
that.
day. He's the one winning. Why are you ruining
I'm
my
winning?
day?
I can't do anything about his.
How am I winning?
You have the most victory points.
I can't do anything about his.
Oh, building wise, it takes one good earthquake and then I'm screwed. Okay,
Yeah.
I know. I would love to be able. He wasn't about to play a 5 or a 3.
Right, and
I
I only
would-
wanted to 5 so that I could make more money this turn.
Yeah, and beat everybody.
Well, no, I'm not going to beat everybody by that because he still has more points.
I want to
Okay,
ruin that hex
go ahead. Ruin that hex.
and let 2
He's being
ruin
mean.
this hex.
Okay.
He's being mean.
Yeah, I saw the 2. I was
Oh
like,
yeah,
what's
I'm
gonna
all about
happen?
ruining hexes at this point.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I want to be
fine.
able to protect my own.
Yeah, no, fair enough.
Where is the free actions?
Otherwise,
No, the free action doesn't describe that in the...
See, here's the thing. It wasn't one of the free actions. You seem to heal, fix the animations or buildings.
But it was a free action granted by the card. The card said that he could place a
The card
scientist
is a free action.
without paying the cost for it. However, I think if he pays an oil, he can make it motorized.
All right.
Right. That's
So-
the question. How do you?
I don't. That was under building a scientist in the
Yeah, it should be
step 1.
Yeah, step 1.
Explore, move, construct.
Either
Protective-
way, I can solve the problem.
Production, produce resources.
Production.
Who's the resource player control?
No,
factor
it's in
guy?
step 1.
Right there. A unit is either a scientist or a motorized scientist. Activating this unit is unlimited. Yeah.
I don't think it's going to matter either way.
No.
Go for it. Just spend
Yeah,
the
just do
oil.
it.
I mean, I'm not.
Yeah. There, we're good. Just gonna go with it.
it just
Otherwise,
doesn't say
if I
anything,
has
but-
to be a regular guy, I'll just move him twice.
No, you're fine. Like,
Either way, because I can't do much of anything else. I can do a trade action and try to get some more bucks. So I get 3 cards. See if I get any more bucks.
Make some money.
Well, since I have one of each of those, I might as well get the most out of this, since I only have 1 and that's the only resources I can do. Let's do 3 up on this and sell 1 for 10.
lightning bolt. Good.
Hopefully there's not a lot of people with tons of lightning bolts.
Oh, I have none.
That's what I was thinking.
It's
Rather
secret,
than
but
rising the other.
I've only produced him once, and I traded it in for good money, but then it went away.
And then I
Catalyst. And each of one of your units are...
this guy
that
goes
goes
away.
No, he becomes a
No,
regular.
No,
the
he-
motorized one goes back to your supply.
Yeah, I'm not sure where you spend that money, that oil, to make it motorized.
It's just an option.
It's in the step 1. Right here.
Yeah.
No, it's not step 1. Excuse me.
It's the leaderboard sequence.
Add a new unit to their spaceport.
Yeah.
It says when you do that,
You can pay an
you
oil.
can pay an oil to get a
So you can't upgrade it later.
Yeah.
If you had an oil later, you-
spaceport production.
Yeah.
When you spaceport production.
Okay,
that's what it
let's-
should be. On a 6.
what's our-
Spends 1 mycelium resource from behind their screen to recruit a new scientist placed on a spot. Alternatively, you can spend 1 oil resource to get a motorized scientist instead.
So you pay one or the other.
Yeah.
So, but it sounds like the free action gives you.
I
yeah.
don't know.
You don't have
Yeah.
to pay the mycelium, it says. But meh. what is
Hey,
it?
whatever. I mean, was that oil going to get him a victory point? Because if it was, that might make a difference.
No.
Okay, all right. So
Well,
who's
no,
up?
it's
Yellow.
It's the extra 10.
Yeah, correct. Yellow, and then yellow cats.
Cat's this thing.
So he's wounded, and this is damaged.
Yep.
Okay. And I'm going to, on my turn,
Yep.
I'm going to free action, wake him up, in case there's any more problems. All right.
Actual actions.
Actual actions. So I got 2 on the board. So I will go to the market.
Yeah.
1,
It
2.
says do it
3,
like the
4.
spaceport, so
Yeah, I don't know, Mike. I mean, it's one of those, I'm sure,
This thing is
kind of situation.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in a little bit.
Yep. So
I have an outside shot of beating you now.
I don't hold any hope that I would win, so.
not what I wanted. And this is the last turn, isn't it?
Yeah.
It
This is my last 2
turn.
actions.
last hurrah.
Well, that sort of sucks. There's no more cards being played. So I need to do... Blech. Not what I wanted, but that's okay. That's the way the cookie crumbles. And you're going next?
Yeah.
And then that's it?
And
That's game?
it, yeah.
I don't want to increase anything necessarily. So we're going to increase the mushroom by 1 and decrease it by 1. So it's going to stay where it is.
Bloop, bloop.
And then these get discarded underneath. Situation. And then part of my trade action, I'm going to sell then 1, 2, since these don't count for anything, 3 of these for 21. And gold. And then my second action is going to be just go over here and repair this.
And pay 5 to repair it.
Pay 5 to repair it?
That's what it says.
I didn't know that was a thing. So a victory point one way or the other?
Yeah. Well, no, that building I think is worth 2 victory points.
Oh.
I think. If I'm reading this correctly. Okay. For my 2 actions, wait, Cataclysm.
2.
No, 2 blue. I see 4 blue and 1 blue.
No,
Two
your
blue.
2 actions.
Okay, my 2 actions. I'm going to first do a trade action.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hope you got some lightning bolts. That's where the money is.
Bummer. Okay, well, I'll make the lightning bolt go up to 10. And then I can sell 5 things because I have the multi thing I can mix and match. Understanding?
Yep.
Yeah, you can sell up to 5. No, well, actually, you can sell as many as you want.
No.
It's fine.
It's 5. It's
If-
his,
Yeah.
Well, no. Yes.
Yeah.
You can sell 5 lightning bolts if you want to sell 5 light. There's no restriction how many it's
No,
buying.
it's fine. Yeah.
All right, so
So I have
so there's a 10. This will go down by 1. Here's 10 for the lightning bolt.
And then I have 2 oil
14.
and 2 mushrooms for 6.
Yeah.
Yep.
So 6 you said, 14. So I'll trade in these 4 for another 10. How's that?
Okay. So
30 is your net income from that. Is that
sweet.
does that
sounds about
jive?
right.
So that's
Wow.
6 victory
and
points.
then,
Yeah, that's 6 points.
Yep.
That's, like I said, I knew.
And I can't do a second trade action, can I? Or was there a restriction about doing the same action?
No, you
2 different actions.
Oh, it has to be.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah.
There's a distinction.
There's a
Oops.
restriction.
I don't
Okay,
think I've
so
done 2 of the same
I
action.
don't think anybody
built
really
twice.
did. Oh, well,
I
there's
did
that.
build twice.
We'll talk about it at the end, guys.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay, so then if I can't
No
trade...
duplicating actions.
Okay,
so
if I can't trade
different
again,
actions.
I'm just gonna take 5. I'm gonna take a grant for 5 for 1 extra victory point.
Yeah, why not?
we got one.
And that's the end game.
Cataclysm 5, green, nothing.
There's nothing.
All right.
So-
So
Alright,
now we gotta
so-
figure out victory points.
Victory
Scoring.
points are factory buildings worth 2 each. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, because you've got a spaceport. All
I think I
buildings,
have
stars.
7
10.
on the table.
12, 14.
So I have 10 there.
Well, not all buildings are worth 2.
Well,
No, but
then
I'm
you go
counting the
then you go
stars,
to your
right? Two,
then you go
four,
to your protective
6,
buildings are worth
8,
1,
10,
and then your
12.
stock market building is worth 1, and your
So-
spaceport's worth 2.
I have 7 on the table. Is what
Stars
I'm
on the
saying.
stars on the table plus 1 per
Right.
money.
Okay.
13 plus 1 star for that. So I'm 15 on buildings. And then it was 1 victory points for every 5 resources or junk, right?
Per mega credit, not resources.
Right. 5 mega credits.
For every 5 mega credits, 1 point.
6, 7. A whopping 22 points.
Yeah, I have 17.
Oh, really? I have 18. I'm just 1 over you? Are you serious?
Well, I got 7 plus 10.
Okay. Well. Alright. Sweet.
Yeah, my money was definitely there. I mean,
Yeah.
all right. All right, let's give us a minute, guys, and we'll give you our thoughts on the game in just 5-10 minutes. Go use the restroom first.